Hello and welcome back to FMRevu. I'm your host, Freddie Robinson, and in today's video I'll be unboxing some more items that I've bought over the past month. Speaking of the past month, I've been very busy. I've had several classes, firefighting related. One I took at the Niagara Falls Fire Department in New York, and that was a 2-week class on firefighter rescue and survival tactics. It beat my body up pretty bad. It was a 2-week trip. Way away from home since I live in Mississippi, and so that took me down for a little while. I had to work afterwards and recover, and also went to Alabama, the university, the Alabama Fire College, taking a hazmat tech class, which was a week long. I was dealing with live chemical agents in hazmat suits with level A, level B, fully encapsulated. There was no outside contact inside of the suit. I had to breathe air. I couldn't breathe any atmospheric air. And so I've just been real busy, and that's kind of slowed down some of my video production and uploading or posting. But now that all that boring stuff is out of the way, I have some more exciting unboxings to do. First up is the Platinum Plus tripod made by Sunpack. I picked this up at the Goodwill store earlier today for the amazing price of $3.99. As you can tell, this is made of aluminum and a rubberized plastic. It is lightweight but sturdy, and on the bottom you can see that this does have a spike which will keep it in place or hold your balance a little bit better than a flat surface. The only thing that I could find wrong with this was the little peg or the arm that controlled your up and down. It's missing, but that's not a problem. I should be able to fix that by placing a pencil, an ink pen, a wooden peg, or another arm that I pull from one of my tripods. Next up is a desk lamp with a boom arm, and you should know what interested me just by saying that. It's the boom arm, and I would like to see if I can manipulate it at some point and put my microphone at the end. When I ordered the microphone kit, it came with the boom arm, but I just never was happy using it on my desk. I have looked at prices of boom arm mounts, and they are relatively expensive. This lamp cost $4.59 from Goodwill, so it is a cheap experiment nonetheless. The base does have a removable section that you can put any type of boom arm in, so I should be able to put my existing boom arm in if the one on this lamp does not work. Next up is a 64 gigabyte micro SD card that I got on clearance at Walmart for $10. This is made by PNY, and it does come with an adapter for regular SD card slots, which my camcorder uses. So this does have flexibility to be used in a cell phone, a tablet, a camcorder, or a GoPro style camera. Moving on, I was able to find the Lord of the Rings Trilogy on VHS, which tickled me because I'm going through a retro phase and I'm trying to get all the movies that I like on VHS. So I use the Goodwill as my starting point for those movies. It's hit and miss, and it's a very slim picking because it's only based off of a small population of people with a dying category of media. Up first is the Fellowship of the Rings, and this does have a runtime of 178 minutes. I don't see anywhere that says this is in 4:3 aspect ratio, but that would be even better since I am putting this in a VCR and watching it on a 4:3 television. The next movie is The Two Towers with a runtime of 179 minutes, and this came out 1 year later in 2002. And finally you have the third movie, The Return of the King, with a 200-minute runtime, and it's on 2 VHS. Now that is one thing that I do like with modern media. You don't have to get up and change tapes or disc when you have long movies. The next VHS that I found was The Matrix. The first one and the only good one. The next two was a ripoff, just using the reputation of the first one. This is the collector's edition, and it has a runtime of 136 minutes with 26 extra minutes of bonus footage. And I'm curious how they do that. You have special features after the movie, so I guess you just let it play after the credits, including 4 behind the scenes, what is bullet time, which is digital effects, what is the concept, which is just drawings, into movie reality, and segments on the memorable kung fu fighting and lobby scene shootouts. And finally, I came across The Fifth Element, starring Bruce Willis, with a runtime of 126 minutes, and it's rated PG-13. And this was a fun summer kind of kid adventure movie. Kind of reminds me of Star Wars, but not quite as sci-fi, because this has a little bit more action, a little more comedy, a little more romance than Star Wars. But you still had models and makeup, rubber suits, the things that Star Wars used to get around some of the challenges they had of making a sci-fi movie. The next movie I have stars Bruce Willis, and this is the Die Hard Legacy Collection, and it includes Die Hard 1, or just Die Hard, Die Hard 2, Die Hard with a Vengeance, Live Free or Die Hard, and A Good Day to Die Hard. Now, of these movies, the only one I really care for is Die Hard and Die Hard with a Vengeance. Those are neck and neck with which one I like the best to call my number one Die Hard movie. Die Hard 2, I guess, would be my third one. The last two suck. There's nothing to even say about them. I'm probably not even going to watch these movies. But this was a great price of $7.95 at Game Exchange. So what I like doing is going to the Goodwill and Game Exchange looking for old video games, game magazines, or strategy guides, and movies, whether it's VHS, DVD, possibly Blu-ray, or 4K. Last year I was fortunate enough to go to Las Vegas for a radiation class, and I got to spend 2 days on the Las Vegas Strip and then 4 days in the desert at the secured site that we were doing radioactive investigating and isolation, uranium and plutonium isotopes. I was able to see every aspect on location-wise that this movie is filmed in. The city part of Las Vegas and the desert part. And during that time I bought CSI Las Vegas Season 1 on Blu-ray. I watched it, I loved it. I really like Grissom's character and demeanor, his behavior, his mannerism. He's a real quiet, somewhat kind of shy but snappy person. Real dry, boring, and nerdy, kind of like how I am. And I guess that's what lured me into liking him, because he's my favorite character in this series, or in the cast. And this is my favorite of all the CSIs, being Florida or New York. I do like Caruso, but I didn't really care for Cheers dude. And I really didn't care that Neo took over the reins on New York or Las Vegas. So really, when this played out and Grissom either retired or got killed off, I quit watching it, or I have no interest in it rather. I watched this when it came out the first time ever. Maybe every 10th episode I would catch on television, but visiting Las Vegas and seeing those sights and then going back and watching a random episode, it really attached me to that. So what I done was I found season 2 through 6 on DVD at Game Exchange, and they ranged from $5.95 for a season to $7.95 for a season, and I picked up all 5 of those. Next up, I picked up Sonic the Hedgehog 2 for the Sega Genesis. It's in its original case. It has good cover art on the front and back. If you open it up, it does have a good manual. The manual's in good shape, and the cartridge is in good shape. This brings me back to, I want to think, Christmas of '92 when I got the Sega Genesis. This came packed in as the game for the Sega Genesis, so I played it a lot until I got Mortal Kombat 1, and then the following game I got was Mortal Kombat 2. So this has a nostalgic attachment to me because this was the first Sega Genesis game that I owned, and then I moved up to Mortal Kombat 1 and 2. And again, those were the determining factors of why I got the Sega Genesis, because Mortal Kombat 1 had the blood and the original fatalities from the arcade, and at this time Eternal Champions was out. Little did I know that Nintendo would fight back with Killer Instinct, and eventually down the road I got a Super Nintendo. But the first console that I got was the Sega Genesis, and this game was the first game that I got, played, and beat on there. Another game that I've picked up in the past month is Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection on Xbox One. This came out last year for $39.99, and I was fortunate enough to wait out for the price drop of $19.99, so I feel like I got it for half price. This includes 12 arcade games. That would be Street Fighter 1 all the way to Street Fighter 3 Third Strike. These 12 games I have in one form or another other than Street Fighter 3 New Generation and Street Fighter 3 Second Impact Giant Attack. Now, I've been buying Street Fighter since it came out, and so I have Super Nintendo versions of this, Sega Genesis versions, Game Boy versions, PlayStation 1 versions, PlayStation 2 versions, and Xbox 360 versions. Do I have? No, I don't have anything on Xbox One. I have Ultra Street Fighter 4 and regular Street Fighter 4 for the Xbox 360. The last game that I picked up was Wasteland 2 Director's Cut. This was on the random bin at the end of the game aisle, and it had a bright yellow sticker that said $5, so it drew my attention to it. I don't know what Wasteland 2 is, I've never heard of it, but when I flipped it over and looked at the back, I saw that it was a post-apocalyptic RPG, and it's made in the same view style as Diablo, and I'm a big Diablo fan. So what I done was read a little bit more about this, looked up a video on YouTube to see what the gameplay was, and I decided to pick it up to give it a try. It does have a tactical side to it, and I'm not really into tactical games. I do like command-based or JRPGs, and I like action-adventure RPGs, kind of like Diablo. And I'm hoping when I play this, it turns out to be close to that Diablo style, because it does have that isometric overhead view with those semi-pre-rendered backgrounds that were out in the 90s. And I think that this is a game that came out at an earlier date, and it's a remake. And I'll wrap this up with some strategy guides that I picked up from Goodwill. Goodwill has a great price on these strategy guides. They are 50 cents each. And since strategy guides are starting to die down because of YouTube, they're hard to come by, and these are all strategy guides to video games that I like and admire. Diablo 1, which is my favorite PC game. Diablo 2 is the follow-up, and then Gears of War, which is my favorite Xbox 360 game. And all three of these were $1.50 combined. I played a lot of Diablo 1, but I never beat it. And I played even less of Diablo 2, even though I liked it more than Diablo 1. And I played a ton of Gears of War. So much that I beat the first game on the 360, and when the remaster, whatever edition came out on the Xbox One, I bought it and beat it as well. I'd like to thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, please leave a comment below. And don't forget to subscribe to keep more awesome FM reviews coming your way.